You know, as parents, we all do this thing. We plan a holiday, a vacation, buckle our kids into the car seats, double check the straps, and we believe that's enough to keep them safe. But for one family on holiday in Mexico, that everyday moment turned into an unimaginable tragedy. Their 2-year-old, Oliver, survived a crash so violent that his head was essentially disconnected from his spinal cord. 3 neurologists said that he was brain dead, that he wouldn't survive the week. But what followed is something even doctors are calling unprecedented. They're calling it the Oliver effect. From a small hospital in Mexico to a cross-continent journey to Chicago, to a neurosurgeon who simply refused to give up on a toddler, Oliver went through 2 major spine reconstructions, front and back, to re-establish his skull and repair a spinal cord sort of herniation. And then came what no one predicted. Oliver started moving. He started breathing on his own. His brain began communicating with his body again. A medical first, a scientific shock, a human miracle. Tonight, we are calling it the Oliver effect, the story of a family's fight, a surgeon's belief, and a child who rewrote every prognosis. So let me take a pause and let's go across now to hear it from those who really fought this battle. The parents of Oliver who did not give up hope, and then the doctor who's really pulled off what many are calling a miracle. All right, there are some stories that defy every kind of science available on the planet. There are some stories also that go beyond just the medical marvel of the times we live in, but give you hope, make you believe that there is something called will that is deep-seated in all of us. And one such story is emerging from United States. Please join me in welcoming Stefan and Laura on the program. Before you guys came on, I was telling everybody and our audiences here the story of Oliver, but I want to hear that from you guys. Stefan, if you can go back in time slightly to those uncomfortable times when the accident actually took place. Tell us what exactly was the state of the mind at that moment and what happened thereafter.
Yeah, on the 17th of April this year, we had been in Mexico to make vacations. But not just to make vacations, we visited the family of my wife, of Laura. She's from Mexico, I'm German. So, and on the second week of our vacations, we went to the beach, to the Pacific Ocean. And as a whole family with 3 cars, we were driving to a restaurant. And unfortunately, we got hit by an armored truck from the side. Laura was driving, I was the co-pilot. And the truck hit us exactly on the side of Laura, and behind Laura was one of our twins, Sebastian, and on the other side Julian, and in the back was Oliver, all in car seats for children. And yeah, but the accident was that heavy. For example, I broke a rib. Laura was in a very bad condition. She had a few cuts in her head, in her face, and also a lot of glass in her head. She was also in a very critical situation at that moment, and I realized directly after the accident that something is also wrong with my chest, but the adrenaline was jumping in, and I turned around my head and I saw that all my kids are dead because it was that heavy, and I knew which kind of car hit us. And by my surprise, Julian and Sebastian were looking at me with eyes wide open. I knew they were alive, but then I was looking to the last row, and there was Oliver, and his head was in a weird position. And I knew there's something wrong, so I was jumping to the back, and I screamed his name, but there was no reaction. And I thank God I did the right thing. I was not freezing in that moment. I was acting, and I removed him from his child seat. And thank God there were already people outside, and I was screaming, he's not breathing. And one of these guys helped me to take Oliver out of the window because the doors were not opening, the sliding doors. And this was the last time I saw Oliver before. Later we went to Mexico City because he was transferred to Mexico City later. He got a reanimation after the accident for 20 minutes. He didn't come back in that time, but then they brought him to the hospital there on the beach side. and they were able to bring him back after 20, 25 minutes. And yeah, that was the accident in a nutshell, let's say that.
20 minutes, there was no response? You couldn't get a hold or understanding of whether he was breathing or not?
So 2 weeks ago, we started to search for the people who helped us in that moment. So by coincidence, there was a couple, two doctors, who saw the accident and they were immediately acting. And now I know the guide who I gave Oliver was the husband. He was a doctor, and his wife, she was helping my sister-in-law to make the reanimations. And they decided in that moment, okay, it's Easter weekend, a lot of traffic. We have to drive by our own to the hospital. So on the back seat of their car, they made turns, and so my sister-in-law and the doctor, Oliver didn't come back in that time. They needed 10 minutes to the hospital, and then in the hospital, the paramedics took over. And another 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they are different. In some documents, it's even written 30 minutes. He didn't come back, but then after a while, he came back. And yeah, that's one of the miracles. And because of this time, they also told us later than in Mexico City, when he was transferred to a special hospital, that he will be brain dead because he cannot survive that.
Okay, Laura, I want to get to you next. I'm told that there was a point where the doctors told you that it was not looking good, so much so that they asked you to consider donating his organs. They asked you to think about next steps, very clearly saying that he's not going to make it. I want to understand to you from one mom to the other, what made you say that, no, I know there's a life within him right now. I know there's a fighter within him, and I know we can do better?
Yeah, well, after a couple of days at the hospital, I was also later transferred to the same hospital my kid was. After I had a 10-hour surgery also, so at some point, 3 big surgeons came to us, and they said, look, this is not looking good. Oliver was 20, 30 minutes without oxygen. The probabilities say that normally he's brain dead. He also had a stroke, the blood loss. He had a major surgery. The spinal cord is broken. So normally he's not going to make it out of the hospital alive. We ask, yeah, how now? Is he dead now? Is he going to die in a couple of days? How is this process? For us was a shock. So they say, well, within 3 to 5 days, he's going to die by his own natural causes. We cannot ask you to disconnect the machine in Mexico. That is not allowed. So we would have to wait for that moment by his own. But we would like you. I mean, we know that it's not the right moment. We know that this is not what you're thinking about. But have you considered to donate his organs? I mean, of course, it's not something never ever we consider before as parents. We never even talk about it. We talk about ourselves, but not about our kids. But actually, it was a very easy question to answer. We say yes immediately. Oliver, from the moment he was born, he was always a light in our lives. He was the happiest kid, and we knew he would be happy if we would give what could help some other kids. So we said, yes, we would like to donate whatever it is there. I mean, they also told us maybe his heart not, something like that, but the eyes, we don't know. And then they say, yeah, we will bring you the papers for you to sign up. And yeah, that day we mourn. That night we plan a funeral. And the next day we visit him. The next day we went there to see him. And one other doctor said, actually, Oliver is looking better. Oliver's stats are perfect, like nothing is wrong with him. So we said, then what's next? What can we do? Oliver woke up, he looked at us, but like really look at us. And then we said, okay, that's our Oliver. I mean, he's there, he couldn't talk, he was intubated, but we knew he recognizes, he woke up, what happened? So then we said, okay, what's next?
So Laura, I see those videos and I see you having the brightest smile. Kids just, they mimic emotions and energies, right? I want to know, as a mom, what gave you the strength to keep smiling on, to keep having the hope, and to believe that he will get better?
His smile. I mean, you saw it by your own, you see him smile, and it's something that you cannot control. It's like the Oliver effect, we call it, because anyone who sees him smiling, is contagious. And why would I be sad or crying if he's smiling? For me, it was like, I cannot. I mean, first of all, we have the rule that no one cries in front of Oliver. No one cries in front of him. No one talks negative things like you're paralyzed, you will never, or you cannot. If someone says that, they're gone. They have to leave the room. So Oliver doesn't know limits. For Oliver, there are no impossible. So if he's smiling, why wouldn't we? So if he was happy, that's the first thing I always tell everyone. Oliver is happy. If he's gonna walk, we don't know. That is not, the miracle already happened for us. He was declared there that not once, not twice, 3, 4 times. He had cardiac arrest. He had 2 strokes, around 6, 7 surgeries in the last 7 months. So the miracle already happened. Is he gonna continue improve? We hope so. Of course, we were giving everything every day. We are fighting for it, but we don't know. Sky's the limit for him, as Dr. Biden says. But Oliver is happy, and that's what keeps us going. Our twins are happy. They found a way as kids to play with their brother. At the beginning, we were scared of Oliver seeing his brothers playing. We thought, oh, maybe he feels, oh, I cannot do that anymore. Maybe it's gonna be sad. Yeah. But he just loves to see his brothers playing, and they say, yeah, we bet who is the fastest, and the one who kisses Oliver first is the winner. And then Oliver is the happiest to see his brothers kissing him, and then they make bubbles with this soap, and our kids are happy. This is not the life we ever wanted. No one ever wants this for their kids. But in a funny way, in a strange way, our kids are happy and we are together. This is something 7 months ago we thought it was over. We thought we lost everything, and now we have everything and more.
The Oliver effect, I think that's what this is all about, and that's the story that the world should also be taking from it. Laura, last question really. So many things had to happen right for us to see this day, for Oliver to be at this stage. From people helping you, from the doctors saying that we've never seen a file like this, a case like this in the history of the work we've done. Dr. Biden said 23 years and counting, I've never had a case like this. God forbid you're right, it happens to anyone, but what is your biggest takeaway on what happened and how you guys fought it?
Just keep fighting. Oliver kept fighting, always. We tell him, you're just the weirdest kid. You love to fight against us. Oliver has always been a kid, like you tell him, Oliver, don't do that. And he was doing it. And he's still doing that. The doctor said Oliver will never drink water again. Oliver started to drink from his cup. Oliver, you will never eat again. He loves ice cream. He loves breadcrumbs. He loves scrambled eggs. Oliver, you will never breathe by your own. He's overbreathing his ventilator. He's still depending on it, yes, but most of the breathings are by his own, are spontaneous. So this is, for him, it's a challenge. He's 2 years old, and when you say don't touch that, what is the first thing they're gonna do? They're gonna go and touch it. So this is for him. Just keep fighting. Kids are gonna surprise you at every step of on the game. Just trust them. They have their own way. They have their peace. Oliver has his own rhythm. We just follow him. We just support him at every way we can. And our kids are the strongest kids I have ever seen. I mean, I'm biased. I'm the mom, but Oliver
You're not
is
biased.
fighting.
All of us agree with you, Laura. After listening to this story, I'm sure mums across the world are going to agree with what you're saying as well. It's hitting a spot with me, I'm sure with everybody else as well. Thank you so much for coming on board and sharing your story. Good luck with everything that you guys do. And our best wishes to Oliver and the entire family, really. Those doctors who helped, friends and family who came along, and of course, the hope and the Oliver effect that you guys kept intact. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you for listening.
Very, very best.
You will be listening from Oliver. You will be listening. Thank you.
That's
Bye-bye.
lovely. That's lovely. We'll wait for that day. Thank you so much for joining in. Dr. Biden, thank you so much for speaking with us here. And can I just start by saying I have so many questions, but stories like this is what we live for. Would you describe what you have achieved as a miracle? Or in your own career, have you ever seen anybody survive an injury of this nature?
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you today. I have personally never been a part of a surgery like this, a case like this. In my career, I've done over 4,500 surgeries. And this is not something that I have seen previously. And it's also not something that's been reported in our literature. So this is a very unique moment and circumstance.
And talking about circumstances, it's not just the age of Oliver that we're looking at, it's also where he was versus the transport that had to be done. So talk us through that, even before he could arrive on the, inside the operation theater, the challenges that you had to go through.
So this was a very difficult case. When I initially, the parents, they had this tragic car accident in Mexico. They suffered some fractures and bruises and scratches and broken bones, but no one suffered like Oliver did, and including his parents, his twin brothers. He suffered first complete paralysis, dissociation of his head and his neck, or the occiput and the cervical spine. He suffered a complete transection of the spinal cord, and he suffered a fracture through the vertebral body and through the posterior elements. And so this was really a very significant injury. The paramedics got to him, put a breathing tube in. It's not clear how long he wasn't breathing. The feeling was that he was dead. The parents went ahead were told you need to donate the organs. And the parents, resisted that. And, he started to show signs that he wasn't dead, but certainly he was not able to move, not able to really do anything. And the parents kept him in that state. He was sent home, essentially to die. And the parents somehow kept him in that state. When I received the file, the parents had reached out to physicians all over Europe, the United States, North America, and everybody had told them appropriately, by the way. They had said, look, based on everything we know in medicine, this is a hopeless case. Don't waste your time. And they turned to me when I first reviewed the file. I thought, there's no way he's alive. And when I spoke to the parents, I thought, I was just in disbelief that he hadn't died and they had kept him alive for that period. Every aspect of it was certainly difficult, including the transport, exactly as you're saying. We had to transport him. His father's from Germany, his mother's from Mexico. They were vacationing in Mexico. That's the other aspect of this story that is so hard hitting, I think, for so many people. This could happen to anyone. Anybody could be, you're living a normal life in Germany. You decide to go on vacation to Mexico and you get into a terrible car accident. And now here you are, this terrible tragedy to your 2-year-old. And so they, that aspect of it, and we had to transport him to Chicago. And I worked here with the University of Chicago Children's Hospital, Comer Children's Hospital. We set up a whole team to receive him, and everybody really came together in order to take care of Oliver.
As a doctor, as somebody who's managed to give or perhaps aided this sense of life in a family, even in this one boy, what does it make you feel?
Well, so a few things. In neurosurgery, we have the unique ability to touch individual lives. And neurosurgery is a difficult field. In many ways, neurosurgery is the last frontier of medicine. In many ways, the brain is the organ that we understand the least, particularly as people are living longer. This becomes more and more important. I'm very fortunate to be here at the University of Chicago, where we have 100 Nobel Prize winners and a rich tradition of discovery and of advancing the fields of science, of medicine, of cancer, of all these areas of neuroscience in a dramatic way. I think when it comes to this particular case of Oliver, it's such a difficult and complex case. And this case, in fact, this wasn't one surgery. This was multiple surgeries over 5 days. And these surgeries in an adult are complicated versus in a child. And
Yeah.
in a child, when you face a surgery like this, the blood loss can be very harrowing. Oliver, after the final surgery, a few days later, Oliver's heart stopped, and we thought that we lost him. And
Oh,
this
gosh.
was a very, dangerous intervention, but he's defeated the odds at every step. At every stage, he's defeated the odds. And one thing that I'll tell you, he's so intuitive, and we started to learn his personality. He spent so long with us in the hospital that we all started to learn Oliver's personality and what a beautiful personality it was. And at 2 years old, you remember, you used to walk, you used to do everything that you wanted to do, and then one day you're paralyzed, you're in an accident. And um, and so and so when he first moved his hand, he looked down at his hand and he saw that it was moving for the first time in months. And he began to smile, like, look, my hand just moved. He recognized that this was different. His hand could move again. When he started to sense that he could pee or he could urinate, he would tell his mom, Mom, I need to pee. And she would say, okay, go ahead. And then he could control his urination, which is a major thing. Today, most of the day, he's able to do it without the active support of the ventilator. He'd been on a ventilator for many months. And this is going to be a long journey of physical therapy and rehabilitation for Oliver. But we're getting there day by day and week by week, and he's getting better and he's improving. And so all of those are things that we'll continue to see. And this is a case of Oliver where it's touched people all over the world. And also it's an inspiration for many, but also it's a case that we can learn from and we can study and we can better understand so that we can help many more people.
Yeah, yeah. Help me understand this, Dr. Biden. When you see cases like these, which on paper look impossible, but then there is hope that comes from family, there are these little signs. What keeps doctors like you going to say that, there's something in there, let's try harder? What's that trigger?
Well, it's a good question. So many times we have so many difficult conversations in this specialty of neurosurgery and in all medical specialties. You have these conversations that are difficult, that are tough, and you see a case like this and you think, gosh, this is really an outstanding set of circumstances, an unbelievable set of circumstances that had to have occurred to result in this, just all so tragic. And you think of what the parents are going through, and you think of what's going through their mind. He's got twin brothers who came out unscratched. He's got parents who now, for them, their whole life is what happened to their 2-year-old and how they get their 2-year-old out of this predicament. And, when I spoke to the family, I was very upfront. I said, I don't know whether this will work. I mean, we have to design a multi-stage surgery to reset the head and the skull and the cervical spine to fix the fractures. This was a whole team of surgeons This is a very complex endeavor and interaction. The spinal cord was cut in half. We had to reposition it and replace it into its proper position, recreate the lining. Those are very harrowing things, even in someone who's, a full-sized healthy adult, much less than a young child. And so all of those were circumstances. And the parents, they understood that, but the alternative was really certain death. And so the alternative was not a viable alternative. And so those kinds of things, they make our job worth it. They make it so valuable to be able to impact a life, a family, a community in this way.
And it's not just this family, Dr. Biden. What stories like these do is they give hope to so many others. I've been getting goosebumps every time you speak about what exactly was the state of Oliver and where he is now. And as a mom of a 2-year-old, I can tell you that this keeps you up at night. But also I can tell you this makes living in these very uncertain times really worth it, to know that the medical marvels can really exist. It can change life of so many people. And perhaps Oliver's story, that will be the takeaway for all of us here in India and across the globe as well. Thank you so much for speaking with us. And once again, a big, big congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you very much. India is a wonderful country. I've gotten to know so many patients, families. My brother-in-law is from India. I've gotten to know so many people from the beautiful country of India. And it's really the world's largest democracy and an absolutely wonderful country. And it's a pleasure to be with you today.
You say beautiful democracy, you also know about our medical headways, right? India is known for having a system where we make the best doctors, the most affordable healthcare as well. Do you think this could have been possible here in India?
I have worked with so many brilliant Indian physicians throughout my life here in my department, in our medical community, at places that I've been previously, and here at the University of Chicago. So many brilliant Indian scientists, physicians. It's really a high talent base, no question, and an absolutely marvelous and medical system that continues to improve all the time. And so there's so many joint learnings back and forth.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you so much, Dr. Biden.
Thank you so much.